Hello and welcome to Rusch Academy, Mastering RPI. This is the baked potato course review with me, Rebecca, your tour guide, and Coach Tim Cusick, who is going to come along for the ride. And this is all about really showing you what the course is like. So if you've been to RPI before and you just want to improve and learn a little bit more and up your game, or you've done the French fry and now you're upping to the baked potato, or you've never been here before, this is going to be a very intimate walkthrough of every single section of the course, and it's going to be really fun. So here we go along for the ride. So here's an overview of the baked potato course: 102.7 miles, 6271 feet of elevation gain, 95% gravel road, which is awesome.
That's a lot of gravel.
It's a lot of gravel. So one section of gravel, and it's 100 miles long or so. All right. So here is the course overview of the entire course. Up on the top, you've got kind of the key elements, the key parts of the course. And then down on the bottom, you can see you've got all the aid stations and the mileages that you hit them. So what we're going to do is break down each section of this map and course and really go through it chronologically and give you some tips. So we're going to start with the Trail Creek climb. This is kind of the part of the course that a lot of people get really intimidated about. It's the biggest climb on the course. It's the most beautiful part of the course. You're going to love it, but people get kind of really freaked out about it. So we're going to start out with the Trail Creek climb, and it comes right in the beginning of the course. You can see here is the map overlay. So the climb itself comes at about 7.5 miles in, and I'll let you know, it's a neutral rollout. We have a neutral start, so no stressing on the start line, freaking out for position. We have a nice long run out on pavement that's neutral until the pace cars pull away. So no stress at the start. And the beauty of this climb, it comes 7.5 miles in, and you'll be ready to start climbing because it's cold in the morning. So it's kind of nice, and it's really where the race begins. And it really gets people separated into the groups where they're going to be in. So again, no stress at the start. You have a nice rollout, and then you get to start climbing. So starts at about 7.5 miles. It's ends at about 11.7. And here's the Strava segment. You can look it up. Lots of people have climbed this climb. It's pretty iconic. It's one of the most famous climbs in the world. I've done it, I can't even count how many times, but you can look at a lot of times. You can look at that segment, and you can go into Strava and kind of compare and maybe see some pacing strategies for yourself. You can really look at the elevation profile. And I definitely recommend doing a little bit of that research ahead of time so that you're not freaked out about the climb. Knowledge is power. And so it's good to do a little research ahead of time. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the climb. It's my favorite climb in the world. It's totally beautiful. So you'll have plenty of time to look up and enjoy the views on your way up. And this is where the gravel starts. It starts about a quarter of the way up the climb. You're on nice pavement, like I said, warming up. You go a few minutes up on pavement, and then you get on the gravel. And depending on the condition of the road, sometimes it's real bumpy, sometimes it's smooth. I will tell you, there's often a good, you're kind of shopping for a good line. It's the longest climb of the course, as we talked about. You can look at people's average times up and down, but you're really going to pace for a big, long climb. I love it because you get warm. It's cold in the morning, so you get warm, and you find the people that are your pace, which is great. It sets you up for the rest of the course to be kind of among the people that are your ability level. Keep in mind, it's very high elevation. You're starting in town around 5,800 feet. You're going up near 8,000 feet. And so if you're not from elevation, that is definitely a consideration for you with your pacing and your hydration and all that stuff. Safety. It is a single lane, narrow mountain road with lots of traffic. It's the only way across east to west over these mountains that we're crossing. And so you're going to see other riders, you're going to see motorcycles, you're going to see vehicles, please, 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 you're shopping for a good line, stay to the right, rules of the road. It's really tempting to kind of move on the road, and it feels like we own the place because we've got 1,500 riders. But please note, this is one of the only passages across these mountains. And so everybody needs to use this road. So safety first, stay right. And you're going to get warm. So something to consider: if you've got a vest on, you were bundled up at the start, go ahead and strip down in this climb, and make sure that your temperature regulation is on point. So, and again, I love this climb. It's beautiful. You can see from the photos, it is absolutely stunning. So when you're in that pain cave, pick your head up, look around, find a friend, and really enjoy. And you get the biggest climb over right at the beginning. So I kind of love that mentally too. Tim, what do you have for this big Trail Creek climb? What's the science behind this?
Well, the science, let's talk a little bit about race and pace strategy. So there's two things in what hopefully everybody just learned in looking at the terrain map, the profile map that you saw. One, this climb comes pretty quickly, but you do have that neutral start. So you want to use that neutral start as a good warm-up. That doesn't mean you shouldn't warm up before. You all should, a short warm up really makes sense, not a long one, because this is a really long day. You don't want fatigue, but use that neutral start as a warm up. But when you hit the bottom of the start, which is pretty clear, I mean, like when you hit gravel, that's a good way. There's like one little paved riser into it. But then when you hit gravel, don't go too hard early. This is a long climb, as Rebecca just described it, and it takes some time. There'll be people in there ranging from probably 20 to 60 plus minutes on the climb. Be prepared for that. Don't start too hard. Let your body warm up and get rolling. One of the ways you can think about it like unrolling a carpet. You bring home like an area rug and you roll it out and it rolls out. That's how you should approach this. A little slower at the beginning, but as it goes further and further up the hill, you're rolling it out even faster. Second is your pacing strategy. Probably everyone's gone into the race and you have a strategy of like, I want to do 7 hours. I want to do 6 hours. I want to be top 20, whatever it is. Some are race, top 20, podium, win. Some are pace, 7 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, whatever your target is. But this is where you actually can win and lose the most as far as your race or pace strategy. So here's a tip. And I call this my 10-20 rule. If you're using power, which really is the best way to pace, but even you could do this with heart rate, but I'm going to talk about it with power. Don't go 10% over your threshold. Meaning if you have a 300 watt threshold, we'll think big, right? Like I wish I had a 300 watt threshold. You really don't want to be climbing like at 350 and 360, even the first like 5 minutes. It's the cost of doing that's going to be very high. It's going to blow you up. Keep under less than 10% of your above your FTP, and 5% probably if you have to dig, like I got to stay up with this group, it's worth it. That's where you get suckered into going too hard and you can blow yourself up. So have your top number. I recommend 10. If you're not sure, maybe even 5% over your FTP. But the inverse is true. You can be too intimidated by this hill, go too slow, and spend the rest of your race making up time. So don't drop below 20% of your FTP. So if you have that same 300 watt FTP, you don't want to be going less than 240 as a rule. I mean, it's going to happen here and there, and as you're negotiating ruts and rocks and whatever you're going through, but that really should be your lower goal. So don't start too hard. 10-20 rule of pacing will set you up for success for the whole day.
Tim, I love that. And one, if you don't know what Tim's talking about with FTP, I do suggest you go to Rusch Academy, boost your gravel game, because he's all about how to set up your training. So if that's something that you need work on, go check out that other class in Rusch Academy. But I really love this rolling out the red carpet thing, and it really rolling out your own Trail Creek red carpet, because I will say also the terrain is steeper at the bottom of this climb, and it gradually gets less towards the top. So you can mentally keep that in your mind too, like, okay, it's going to get mellower and mellower as I get closer to the top. And that really aligns with your, starting a little bit conservative pace. And then if you're feeling good, 2/3, 3/4 of the way up, you can really start to roll over the top. All right. Any more tips on the climb, Tim?
No, that was great. I use FTP because it's such a known functional threshold power, or just your threshold. I'm talking about your threshold. So don't go more than 10% above your threshold or 20% below your threshold.
It's always good to have a gauge, because sometimes our mind is either too stoked or too afraid to really do what our body is capable of. So at the top of that Trail Creek climb, you're going to get to the Trail Creek aid station, the first rest stop. We'll go through the rest stops at the end of this of what's at each and all that. But no, at the top of the climb, you've got the Trail Creek rest stop. You've got timing mats. Please go over the timing mats for safety. Even if you don't care what your time is, this is the only way that we get to know where you are, because this is a very remote course. So you're going to roll over the top, and then you're going to get into this kind of your gateway. You're going to cross from basically the Wood River Valley over into the Big Lost River Valley. And it really does feel like you're going back in time. And there are very few houses. There's no cell phone coverage. You really are quite remote. It's why I call it Rebecca's Private Idaho, because you really do get this sense of being really alone out there, even though it feels like there's 1,500 people. You've paced up and over the hill, and now you're in some small groups. So the Big Lost River Valley is a section on this profile map. It looks kind of mellow. It looks like no big deal. You're going to roll down the back side of Trail Creek Climb, and here's where you are on the map. So you've come up and over the climb, you've hit the aid station, and now you're in this, what is about mile 15 to about mile 32, this section. You've also got a small loop, Wild Horse Loop, which is a 6 or 7 mile loop that we'll talk about, and we're going to break this down a little bit. But you can see from the elevation profile, it doesn't look like any big deal. It's a little bit of a sleeper section of the course. On the outbound, so as you're headed out, it's the fastest part of the course, because you've got a tailwind and you're often going like 25 miles an hour. So you've had this long, slow climb up Trail Creek, and then you're going to start ripping, and it's really fun and it's amazing. And you're just like, I can't believe I'm going this fast on a gravel bike. It's a great time to find friends and get in groups. Like I said, you're with a group that climbs about your same pace, which is nice. So find some groups, work on drafting. You can really make up some good time here. Keep in mind, with drafting on gravel, there are things like washboards, cattle guards that come up that if you don't know what a cattle guard is, you're going to find out. But there are obstacles that if you are in a small group and you're pacing, you can't see as well. So keep in mind, you're drafting on gravel, you're not drafting on pavement. And so be aware, give a little more space, make sure you're looking, but find some friends here. It's a really fun section, of course, and you're going to whip right through there and then arrive at the Wild Horse rest stop about mile 24 or 5. Just a note of awareness for when you get to Wild Horse aid station, it is the most congested part of the course, because the baked potato and the French fry go there. And there is a course split. So everyone's sharing the rest stop, and there's a course split. We always have people do the course that they did not sign up for. So slow down here, watch for a lot of people who are trying to grab their water and all that stuff, and take a second for the course split. So you're going to go do that Wild Horse Loop, which is where you start to get on some real bumpy gravel. You've done the fast, high speed Lost River Valley, get to the aid station, then you've got a 6 mile Wild Horse Loop that starts to get into real chunky gravel. So embedded rocks, it gets more bumpy. You're probably not going to be drafting there. You're going to separate a little bit. Really beautiful loop. You're going to look at the backside of the Pioneer Mountains that you just crossed over. So you're going to see the view from the backside, which is totally beautiful. It's why I take everyone into Wild Horse as a loop, because it's really spectacular. When you come out around the loop, you're going to have two-way traffic. So be aware of that. And then you're going to come up to this green sign, this sign that you see that says French fry this way, baked potato this way. If you want to do the baked potato, you take a right. If you don't want to do the baked potato, you take a left. But be heads up here, because there's a lot of people there, and I'll be there yelling and trying to like tell you which way to go. But be heads up, pay attention. You don't want to do the wrong course, and you don't want to take out somebody. There's definitely a lot of people milling around, getting their water, doing stuff. So in this section, enjoy it, but just take a second, because you're coming off this high speed pace line into a technical section of the course, and then of course split. So the main thing about this is to just, it's an easy place to either mess up, run into somebody, forget to get your water bottle because it was all real hectic there. So just slow down for 20 seconds to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, you're going the right way, and that you're being safe. Tim, what do you have for this section that's high speed, fast, and then the little technical loop?
Wait, no, before I do my science, here's a question for you.
Yeah.
You're talking about these different types of gravel and sections. Is there video down below, hint, hint, that people can actually watch you riding these different, so you get a feel of these individual segments in gravel?
Yeah, so as we're talking through this course, know that we're talking through it. We're showing you some static pictures, but yes, at the end of all this, we've got video of me riding. I'm doing color commentary. So I'm on all the sections of course. And I do suggest going through this and getting your head wrapped around it. But then visually, if you're a visual learner, go watch those videos and you're going to see exactly what these sections look like. So this is going to put it in your brain, and then watching the videos is really going to kind of put it into your body so that you know what these sections look like. And the whole reason for this course walkthrough is so that when you get out there, you have the confidence. You're like, I know what this section is like. Oh yeah, Rebecca and Tim said this, I got it. And the more confidence and knowledge you have of the course, the better you're going to be able to relax, enjoy the view, and really get into performing your best. So yeah, good point. There are videos of all these sections. And yeah, what's your science for this part of the course, high speed, and then the little technical loop?
Well, my advice here, and I have to always give the science bin, right, is what I call speed economy. Now, not physiological economy, but speed economy. Here's where you need to make up time to get to the cutoff point. You got to average about 14 miles an hour. You're not going to come off Trail Creek. Not most of us won't. We won't come off Trail Creek averaging 14 miles an hour. We're going to need to make up some time against the clock here. Now, when we're riding our bike and we're going down the gravel road, when we go from 0 to 20 miles an hour, which is our average, what's happening is we're building up kinetic energy in the system. And that kinetic energy leads to what we tend to call, and this is oversimplification, momentum. And as long as we maintain that, it's a lot easier to maintain the kinetic energy in the system than it is to create new kinetic energy. And every time we overly brake, overly slow down, we give up all that kinetic energy we paid for building, and we have to build it back up again. And what you want to do in this section is make the most amount of speed with the least amount of decelerations, because that leads to accelerations. So we want to smooth everything out. I'd rather have you go a little bit slower in certain areas where you're comfortable going 1 mile an hour slower, maybe even a little bit more, but you're not going to have to decelerate, where you can be smoother in your application. Because basically it's like a car. If you drive your car you just slowly accelerate, get to a perfect speed and keep going, that's when you get the best gas mileage. If you jam the accelerator down and then let go and let the car slow down, then jam the accelerator down and let go and let the car, that's where you get really bad gas mileage. You as a human being have generally some of that same trait. So the smoother you are here, the better.
It's like being in a New York City taxi where they're driving and they're putting on
right.
That's what they're talking
about. That's bad fuel economy. We don't want that. We want smooth. And to achieve smooth and then to actually improve aerodynamics, your ability to translate into a faster speed, the same energy, find a group to draft with that hopefully is thinking what you're thinking. And as my final science tip, if they're being a little shaky, don't be afraid to say, hey, everybody, let's smooth it. People don't talk. They get in little groups of 5 or 6, but they don't talk. And I don't mean be bossy or nasty, but hey, everybody, it's a little too choppy. Can we do that? And just build a little team and build speed economy.
I love that. I mean, a team is so important, and you're gonna see like there's 1,500 people at the start line. You're like, oh my gosh, there's so many people. And then by the time you get to this section in the Big Lost River, which it's appropriately named the Big Lost, you're like, where did everyone go? Because you're in these nice small pods of 5 or 6 or 8 people that are your speed. And so yeah, make some teammates, make some friends. And I will tell you, if you haven't ridden washboards or cattle guards before, make sure your body position, it's a little more like mountain biking. Use your elbows, use relax, and even speed economy. You'll roll right over the washboards and they're going to bump you around a little bit, but braking and slowing in them actually makes the washboards a little more aggressive. And so you'll start to get a feel for that. But yeah, talk to your friends, work together as a team. It's a really fun section of the course. And like I said, it's really beautiful. So let's go on to the next spot here. All right, so Copper Basin Loop. This is the farthest out section of the course. It's very remote. It's very beautiful. There is a cutoff it's the only cutoff of this course is to get around, is to make the loop. So when you've done the Big Lost, you're on your way to rest stop number 3, which is Copper Basin Aid Station. And you can see on the map here, the course is a bit of a lollipop. So you'll get to that Copper Basin Loop about mile 42. You'll go around the loop and hit that rest stop again. It looks like no big deal on the profile, but this is really one of the hardest sections of the course. It's more challenging than Trail Creek Hill Climb, in my opinion, because you're not fresh anymore. You're way out there. It's quite remote. And we will talk about, there is a cutoff time, and here's what Copper Basin looks like. You can see it's really beautiful, really remote. I will be there. I am the one who does the cutoff. So if you don't make it, you've got me to blame or yourself to blame, or if you don't make it, and every year it's okay. A lot of people don't make it. And what happens if you get turned around there? And the reason is for safety. We can't keep you out on course that long. If you're not hitting the pace to make it, then I don't want to send you on the most remote section of the course if you're already on fumes to get there. And so if you get turned around here, no big deal. You still get to do a 75-mile, really beautiful, amazing gravel ride. And I think we called that the hash brown. It's not an official, not an official leaderboard, but we had quite a few people who do the hash brown, so they get turned around there, and it's okay because you've stepped up, you took the challenge, you didn't make it, you'll come back next year and make it, or you're going to make it this year. To get there though, you need to average about 14 miles an hour to make that cutoff. And so if you're setting your Garmin, I really like to do this for my pacing, is have that screen up, average miles per hour, so you kind of know before you get there. You don't need to ask me, Rebecca, did I make it? Did I make it? You're going to know, and you're going to have the confidence to be like, okay, I'm making it, I'm getting there, and I'm going around the loop. So there is a cutoff there. There's always some tears, there's some yelling and screaming and cheers and high fives. And it's a pretty exciting area, and it's quite remote. But yes, there is a cutoff. You can blame me, but it's for your own safety and for our course staff safety out there. So my tips for Copper Basin Loop, and just a few things. It's the longest distance between rest stops, and you think, oh, 23 miles, no big deal. All the other ones are coming at 15 miles or less, 10 miles, and it's the most remote section. It's the furthest between aid stations. There's tons of wind and dust. There's no shade. The gravel gets chunkier, so your miles per hour slows down quite a bit out there. Many people underestimate this because they're like, oh, it's just 23 miles. They grab a bottle at Copper Basin Rest Stop 1 and they fill one bottle or they blow by. And I'm always out there saying, no, 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 don't do it. Take a break there. Get some food and water and make sure you're okay to get around that loop. Because like I said, it's very remote. There is no cell coverage. We've got to have a remote repeater out there. So for your own safety, it's a difficult section for our own communication, for our EMS staff. And you feel quite alone out there because you really are. But it is also, so be smart at the rest stop, take care of yourself, take a second, get a drink. If once you've made the cutoff, there's no other cutoff to finish. So make sure you're going to get yourself to the finish line after you get through that gate of the cutoff. It's my favorite part of the course. Again, you're looking at the backside of the Pioneer Mountains. There are mountains everywhere around. So the view is stunning and many people don't get to see this area. So it's really special. Soak it in, instead of staring at your top tube. I really try to advise people, pick your head up. There's a reason you're out here is because it's quite stunning and beautiful and not everyone gets to be there. There are cattle on the road. You can see from these images, this is normal Idaho traffic. As you can see, the cattle have the right of way. They do not care about you. So we actually had one year, the very lead front of the race had to all stop because there was basically a entire stampede on the course and they wouldn't move. So there was sort of this neutral stop with the leaders until the cattle came off the road. And again, we don't own this area. We are sharing the trail with ATV users, ranchers out there, vehicles, antelope. You will see wild antelope out there. You will see cattle out there, and you'll see stunning views. So, but it's a hard part of the course and you're furthest away from home. But no, once you make it around the end of that loop at Star Hope, is another section, then you're headed home. So get through that gate, take care of yourself, and really enjoy this section because it's quite stunning. But it really takes some fortitude to get around that loop. And so, Tim, what do you want to talk about with the science of kind of when you're out there all alone on this loop?
Well, let's talk about the science up here, right?
Yeah.
So when you get to this part of the race, particularly longer events like this is where your mental game can make or break you, because you always have a good mental game in the start. You're jack full of adrenaline and you're feeling good and you're tackling the climb and whatever. And actually, you usually have a pretty good status on your way home. Like once you're really like, wow, this is the last section, the last piece. It's that middle section that can really mess with you. And here's the way I talk to people about the mental game. A lot of times the idea is ignore the pain, ignore that I'm alone, don't ignore it because it doesn't go away. Accept it. There's a subtle difference in what I'm saying because once you accept, that's part of performance. That's part of being a human being. I mean, things are hard. We're doing epic stuff. And if you're going to do it, it's going to hurt a little. But by accepting it, also accept this other fact. It's probably what just about everyone else is feeling. When we ignore it, we isolate. We think it's just us. Man, I'm so bad right now. Things are so bad. And you start self-doubt, self-talk, and the miles per hour goes down, the power goes down. And don't do that. In this section, accept that it's hard. That's part of being epic, but also accept that everybody else is finding it hard. It's more lonely here. The gravel's a little heavier. You're going to be digging a little deeper. But man, if I could accept it and understand everybody else is struggling, that's okay. All I got to do is be a little bit better at the struggle. We tend to think about that mental struggle as pass, fail, win, lose. Like there's no gray. And the gray is, I just need to survive the struggle a little bit better and you'll be okay. So accept it, stay focused, push through the loop.
Yeah, I mean, you can see from these images how like one rider, two riders, these are true images of a 1,500 person gravel course. So you can see that it can feel lonely, but look, you've done the training, you made the cutoff, you're out there, you're going around the loop. And it really is stunning. And so, yeah, embrace it. They call me the queen of pain. So, and pain is not a 4-letter word. it's just proof that what you're doing is really epic. Like Tim said, what you're doing is one of the most beautiful, remote, challenging courses out there. And when we look at that course profile, people tell me all the time, oh, there's not that much elevation gain. It looks pretty easy. But you take into the factor rough gravel, headwinds, remoteness, altitude, dryness, dust. You take into that, and the course profile is really deceiving. It doesn't look like a big deal, but it's a challenging, beautiful course. So yeah, embrace this section. It's my favorite part of the course, and so really just think about it in that way, and know that once you get halfway around the loop, you're headed home. And like Tim said, your mental game is going to flip. You're like, okay, I'm more than halfway. Now I'm headed home. So you can get excited about that. All right, so you've made it around Copper Basin Loop Road. You hit that rest stop a second time, again. So that's where you can celebrate and kind of high five people. You'll get back on the two-way traffic and, you know, get some fuel, nutrition there. It's quite hot out in that section as well. So if you need to put water on your head or whatever, it's quite hot. There's no shade, but you're headed home. So then the section from Copper Basin aid station back to Wild Horse aid station, again, you're in the Big Lost. Try to make some friends so that you don't feel like you're in the Big Lost all alone. Find some people. Again, you're back on washboards. You're back in the wind, and but you are headed home. So this is sort of, you know, up till about mile 90 here. This section, here's where it is on the map. You've done Copper Basin Loop. You've headed along the Big Lost. You've made that sharp left turn to go home. You don't do that Wild Horse whoop-de-doo on the way back. So you just blow past that one. You hit right where that Wild Horse rest stop is. You'll hit that again. And then you're going to make that big left, and then you're going to turn into a headwind. Sorry to tell you that. But yeah, when you get back on into that Big Lost in that road, you've passed Wild Horse rest stop your second time. You're at about mile 80 to 90-ish. And like I said, some key factors in this area. So you'll make that left turn. There is, as I said, it's a very windy section, of course, that you enjoyed a tailwind on the way out, which is now going to be a headwind. And this section, right before you get to El Diablito, which is a really fun section, the miles leading up to that, you're on a smooth gravel road with a headwind, and it does feel like you're watching your miles per hour just really tick by slowly. You're tired, it's mile 80, and you've got a headwind. You're like, oh my gosh. Don't worry, it doesn't last that long. This is why I put in El Diablito section, is to actually kind of break the monotony of that big, wide, smooth gravel road. So you get a section that I call El Diablito. It means little devil. And I call it that because when you turn in, you get this beautiful view. Again, I like to turn you into places to make you look at really nice views, whether you want to or not. So you turn in there and you get a beautiful view of a mountain called the Devil's Bedstead, which is really, really awesome, rocky, you know, evil looking peak. You don't have to climb the peak, don't worry, but you'll get a great view of Devil's Bedstead, and it is the most technical section of the course. I'm a mountain biker. This is kind of a mountain bike section, and I put this in for a few reasons. One, to break up the roadie group, the pack. So this is really a strategic point in the race. If you're in a pack and you're a good mountain biker, this is for you, or you're a good technical rider, this is for you. This section, it's only 5 miles, but it's often a game changer in a race with either people, lots of flat tires, people don't like the technical section, they can't handle it, they got split up from their group and they have no one to draft with anymore. So know that this is coming. It's a sharp turn off the main road. It will be signed. Again, we often have people in the baked potato course blow by this turn, and that means you're disqualified because there's a timing mat out there that you need to go over. So make sure your head's up around mile 80, your head's up for this turn onto LD Oblito. You can see from the photos, it's a double track road. You can drive a car in it, but it rides like single track because there's lots of embedded rocks. You're really doing line choice and you're looking and weaving around. So you are not drafting in this section. Separate out, give some space so that you've got clear view of your line. Get off and walk if you have to walk a couple sections. There's a couple real steep uphills that for economy, just jump off and walk. But ride this like a mountain bike course. Ride it conservatively, so you don't want to flat and you don't want to crash. Okay. It's really fun. It's totally amazing. If you're not a strong technical rider, it's okay. There are lines there that you can find. You just can't be mindless about it. You've got to have a view and be looking for a good line. It's only 5 miles long. It's amazing. And mentally, it really breaks up this section of the course, which is what I really like about it. You're sort of droning into this headwind, and then all of a sudden your brain is really activated because you're on a technical section. So it actually makes it go by faster because you have to think, and you can no longer think about, oh, I hate this headwind. You can now think about like, oh wow, Rebecca put in, you can either curse me or celebrate me. I kind of get both depending on at the finish line. People either love or hate this section, but like Tim said, everyone's in it, everyone's going through it. If you are in the paracycling category, this section is not required. You can totally do it if you want, but it's not required for the timings or the podiums of the paracycling category. So I just want to make sure I call that out. And this is fun. I always love, I added this in a few years ago, again, to make the course more diverse, to make it more technical, and to really push people and again, give you a nice view. So that's what I've got for LD Oblito. Tim, what do you think about this section of course?
Let's talk a little bit about the science coaching side of things. When you get here, this might surprise you. You're going to be a little bit tired. And what happens when we're tired is one, I mean, you're physically and mentally tired. And you have this type of a challenge late. What I see people do time and time again is they go in and they usually get like, you're going to be mentally ready. You're going to be a little mentally jacked up for it. You're going to like, I just got to get through this and I'm going to ram through it. The reality is the fatigue will often trigger us to actually be too tense, and actually go too hard. And you burn a lot of energy again. You might not need to burn for very, very little gain. When I go into this section, or if I'm coaching you to go into the section, which I guess I am, relax into it. I would ride the first mile easier again. Go back to this idea of rolling out the carpet. Feel the road, the double track, the mountain bike lane, because it tends to kind of be a little more single lane. Begin to find your flow. If you go in and be like, wow, I'm attacking, and you're smashing around on rocks and you're flatting, or it's going to throw you off. Go in, you're tired, and find that flow or that rhythm first. Get used to the change in terrain. Let your mind and the speed of your thinking, because it's all fatigued. Your mind is as fatigued as your body. Let everything catch up. Let everything smooth out. And I just want you thinking. Remember when you're doing this section, Tim said flow. Just flow. Relax into it. If you're smash, I'm going to crush it, most of us will actually produce a slower time, make a mistake, crash, whatever. Even if you don't crash, you're still probably going to be slower. If you relax, smooth into the little devil here, make sure that you get that flow going. Once you have your flow, then you're like, man, this isn't costing me as much. I don't have to work as hard. And it will actually help you get a little mental recovery before the last section going back down Trail Creek into the finish line.
I love how you say that, like mentally fatigued. And yeah, you burn calories and energy if you're all freaked out and stressed out. That's actually an expenditure.
Absolutely.
And the other thing is, you know, your tip, someone gave me this tip a long time ago when I was learning to mountain bike. The flow visual in real rocky sections, I visualize water. you know, on a mountain stream. It's finding its way through the rocks and it's just flowing through there. So yeah, flow like water through El Diablito, and you'll be just fine. All right, so we are almost home now. So after El Diablito, you're going to join the main road again, the real smooth, wide gravel road, and you will start climbing the backside of Trail Creek. And you can see from this map where that little arrow is, the backside of Trail Creek it's as long. This is kind of deceiving. So it's not as much elevation change, obviously, is coming up the front side, but you can see that from the course profile, the hill is like stretched way out, like 12 miles long, gradually climbing. By the time you get through El Diablito, and that's what makes that way back a little challenging, because you've got headwind and you've got this slow ascent that you don't even realize you're ascending. It kind of looks like a flat road, but it's not. So don't beat yourself up. The backside of Trail Creek is real short once you start the climb, and it kind of pops right up on you. You can't even see it until you're right up on it, and all of a sudden you'll come around a corner and there is Trail Creek aid station again, your last aid station at about mile 90. So yeah, this section you're climbing up the back side, grab that rest stop, and then you got what you've been waiting for, the huge descent to go home. Just like climbing Trail Creek, some people love this part. Some people get real stressed out about the descent. No reason to be stressed out. It starts at about mile 91, and our finish, which we'll show you a picture of, is at the Red Bull banner about mile 102. So you've got 11 miles. It's not all downhill. It's a lot of downhill, but then you've also got some rollers towards the end. So what I'm going to say about Trail Creek descent, it is the most dangerous part of the course. Please be careful here. You've made it this far. Do not end your race by being out of control or too fatigued or being crazy on the descent. And I'm going to really emphasize this. It's a 1,400-foot descent, single lane mountain road. There is no guardrail. There's a 1,000-foot drop off that, as an EMT, we've rescued people whose cars have gone off the road. There are cars on the road. There are blind corners. And this is what is really tempting on the way down. You're ready to be home. You're so tired. You just want to get there. Do not cut the corners. These vehicles cannot see you. And it's a single lane road. So there are blind corners. Please stay to the right, slow down, take a second, look at the view, stop if you need to stop and like rest your arms and your hands and your brain. I'd say one of the biggest challenges of the descent is actually keeping your eyes on the road, because the view is so beautiful. It's my favorite view in the world. So if you want to stop and take a picture, by all means do it, because you've gotten this far and you want to celebrate it. So a lot of people they get real stressed about this. Yes, it's bumpy. Yes, it's washboard. Yes, the smooth line is often to the inside, which you are not allowed to take because there's oncoming traffic. So sometimes you got to be on the bumpiest line because you got to stay right for rules of the road. And so take your time with it. As Tim was talking about, smooth flow, like water over the rocks, you're fatigued. And so take a second at that last aid station, take a second midway down, relax your arms, descending in the drops, all sorts of good descending techniques. But you're not going to win the race here, even if you're the elite, field at the leaders of the race. This is not the place to win the race, and it's absolutely a place where a mistake or being lazy could end your race. So knock on wood, people have always been very safe down this road, and we don't intend to change that. So it's a beautiful descent. It's long. You'll get tired. I mean, it takes a while to descend it. But smooth over rocks, take a deep breath, relax. And then about 3/4 of the way down, you will hit pavements. You remember it from hours ago when you started there, and there will be a sigh of relief of like, oh, it feels so smooth. And then you're almost there, but a little deceiving part for the end is that there are still some rollers to the finish. You hit the pavement, you think you're done, you think it's all downhill to the finish. It's not quite all downhill to the finish. So this is a part, I think, where Tim's got some good points on. Once you do hit that pavement and you've made it safely down Trail Creek, definitely there's still some racing left. So Tim, what do you have for that section?
All right, let's talk about the science of speed for a second. And this is something that a lot of times is like people get it backwards, like mentally have it in your head backwards. When we think about riding a bike, we have two main things that are working against us. We have a rolling resistance. We have a tire on, a road and other factors. So that's one of the two main. The other one is air resistance, how we push through air. And you could also talk about things like gravity and other impacts. Like we have a bunch of things that happen, but in reality, air resistance is the single biggest factor you need to overcome. But here's the struggle of it. Unlike rolling resistance, where the increase is linear, double the size of your tire, you have twice as much resistance. That's not quite true, but you get the idea. Now, when you go twice as fast, if you're rolling down a slight hill and you go from 20 miles an hour to 40 miles an hour, you actually need 4 times the amount of power. The increase of air resistance, because we go faster, is exponential. So we need to raise it to the 4th power. It's dramatically more. So when you pick sections like this, where everybody's already going fast, everybody's going down this hill, not too fast, safely fast, but they're already going fast. For you to make up time to create 5 more miles an hour, that is a lot of physiological cost because the demand is exponential. You have to significantly increase it. Now, I can go into the whole science lesson of that in another course, but the reality is that's basically the core fact. So you don't want to burn that hard all the way down the hill in this terrain where 100 feet of hard braking gives up everything you've just worked so hard to gain. What I would coach you to do is be smooth and flow. Don't burn the extra energy. Go the speed, a good, comfortable, faster speed, not out of control, but don't burn too much fuel here. But when you hit that pavement and it gets into the rollers, that's where you can make your time. Yes, it's still going to cost you, but instead of it being the whole way down and then that whole way pavement, use the way down the gravel to rebuild energy, to make speed, not chase when the speeds are too high. But then when you get in the rollers, push the uphills. Push those uphills. So save that little extra energy, really push up the uphill rollers and chase people all the way to the finish line. That, once you hit the pavement, is a better use of the little bit of energy you probably have left.
Yeah, it's a good point, Tim. People are always surprised by that 5 miles of pavement that are rollers. It's trending down, but yeah, you're just like, oh my gosh, I thought I was done, and you're still not quite done. But here's where you are done. Here is the finish. So this is what the finish looks like with the Red Bull banner. A note. The finish is not where we started, okay? The finish is not in town. It's just outside of town for safety so that people aren't ripping through town along the bike path. So you have a timing finish here at the Red Bull Arch. This is where your race ends. And then you have a second, you have your Champs-Elysees, celebratory 1.5-mile ride to the second finish, which is where our start was in Festival Meadows. So you can't see this finish until right before you come over that last rise. So if you're battling with someone, you got to time your sprint. Just be heads up on the way out, take note of where the finish is so that you don't get caught by surprise. And you'll come over that roller and you'll see it and you'll be celebrating through the Red Bull Arch. This is where you earn the bolo ties if you've earned one. This is where you can wait to meet your friends or somebody that you just crushed in a sprint finish right there. And then you roll happily together, casual, back to town. So there's no racing through town. You finish out here just outside of town. And it's a happy sight to see that after you've gone all the way out in the Copper Base and all the way around 100 and whatever miles. This is what the finish looks like, and it's pretty celebratory. You can see from the looks on everyone's faces. here are some average times for your pacing. So this is as you build your race strategy and you're thinking about your food and your nutrition and all that stuff. We just wanted to post a few times for the baked potato route, kind of average, fastest, average, and slowest time, so that you can really kind of figure out your clothing, your nutrition, your pacing, your energy expenditure, where you're going to push, where you're going to conserve. So my suggestion, and I think Tim will add in here, is to make a little bit of a race plan so you know how long you're expected to be out there. Tim, do you have any points on this?
One, we cover this really well in the Rusch Academy Boost Your Gravel Game course, because
Right.
it's a long answer, right?
Yeah.
But here's
Yeah.
my main answer. Yes, have one. You definitely
Yeah.
want some form of plan, some form of a pacing plan or a racing plan, depending on exactly what your end goal is, but you need one.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, have a pacing plan. Don't go in blind. You might be, a little faster, a little slower. But as Tim mentions in Boost Your Gravel Game, we actually go through a whole chapter on how to do and execute a race plan and pacing plan. But these are just to kind of put in your head so you can wrap your head around how long you might be out there on course. And then let's see. All right, so I'm gonna go and just review the aid stations a little bit, because this is an important part of your plan, is knowing where the aid stations are, what they look like, what kind of supplies are there. So we'll just walk through each one briefly here. And let's see. All right, so here are your aid stations. And as you can see, you hit them on the outbound and inbound. So we've got the mileages listed here. Trail Creek is at 12 miles on the outbound. Often people don't need to grab very much. If you want to climb real light, you can always grab something there and grab some water and nutrition there. And then you'll see it again at mile 90. So on the outbound, you might grab something quick and small, keeping in mind that Wild Horse is quite a busy rest stop. So Trail Creek's not that busy. There's a big wide pullout. At every rest stop, you're going to find water. You're going to find GU nutrition. You are going to find, I think we usually have bananas or some sort of, fruit like that. We'll have Red Bull. Yeah, so we'll have basic nutrition, sports nutrition, and water and Red Bull and high fives and hugs, and we also have there'll be porta potties at every rest stop. Please use the porta potties. I can't tell you how bad it looks for me when people are pulled off to the side of the road with their pants down and the general public is driving by and my name is on your number plate, and so they come back and be like, Rebecca's people were by the side of the road. So yeah, please use the rest stops unless it's an absolute emergency. So you'll have at every rest stop, you'll have medical support, you'll have some mechanic support, you will have communication support if there's an emergency. With our ham radio operators, again, there is no cell phone coverage, so our communication is radio repeaters, ham radios. So if you need something, you've got to get yourself or send a friend ahead or back to a rest stop area. So you get your nutrition, but also all of our safety and personnel are at all of the rest stops. So outbound mile 12. And then on the outbound for Wild Horse, again, that's a very congested rest stop. Be heads up, make sure you get on the right course. Take a second. There's a lot of people there. There's also a potato gun shooting contest at Wild Horse rest stop. So if you want to stop and shoot potato guns with me, you could win a set of Envy wheels, which is actually, it's really fun. So if you have the time to do that, to shoot a potato gun, that happens at Wild Horse as well. And then Copper Basin is the most remote one. Again, there's medical, there's porta potties, there's food, drink. Do not leave that rest stop at mile 43 when you're going around the loop without at least 2 full water bottles and some nutrition, because you've got a big loop, remote loop to get around back to it. So then you'll hit it again at mile 65, and then another short 11 miles back to Wild Horse. So you can choose, some people don't stop at both of those, that depends on your race strategy. You don't do that Wild Horse out and back. when you get there, you just blow by that rest stop, get what you need, and you're on your way home. And then your last one again is mile 90 at the top of Trail Creek. I'll kind of reiterate, if you're running on fumes, it's not all downhill to the finish. This is a great spot to grab a Red Bull and a goo and just pop it in your mouth before you do that descent, because it's going to give you a little energy boost. You're going to feel not quite so fried, and you'll have a little energy for the rollers, that 5 mile rollers on the pavement into the finish. So those are your rest stops. Let's see. Okay, we're going to wrap it up now with just kind of a few overview tips. And I know this was a long video, but really the whole point was to take you personally through the course that I designed. I know it better than anybody else, and to give you some coach tips. So kind of some main things here that we already touched on, but don't sweat the start. It is a neutral rollout. Starts always make me nervous, big group mass starts. And so I designed the course this way exactly to eliminate one of my biggest fears, which is being taken out by somebody at a start and there's all these people. So don't sweat the start, enjoy it. It's one of my favorite parts of the course, because people, even the elite, even the top riders, they're not racing, they're just getting warmed up. They're chilled out, they're enjoying it. People are chatting, they're high-fiving. So it actually is a really fun start. So don't stress the start. The baked potato folks will roll out first. And enjoy it. It's really fun. It'll set you up for Trail Creek, and then you can really start racing when you start climbing. Again, safety first. These are open roads, very remote. It's the only roads through there, so there are other users. And for us to keep our permits, we need you to be safe and we need you to be courteous. The number one goal I have is, you can see in that picture there, there's your ceremonial finish at Festival Meadows. My number one goal is you come through there, high fives, bolo ties, and everybody's happy. I don't really care how fast or slow you go. I just want you to make it through both those finish lines safely. We'll reiterate Trail Creek climb. It's a big climb. It's a big descent. It is not to be taken lightly. You are in the high mountains of Idaho, and so treat the climb with respect on the way up, on the way down. You've got wind, dust, elevation, temperatures. We often range 30 or 40 degrees Fahrenheit at the start. We had 26 degrees was our coldest start, and often 80 to 85 degrees way out in Copper Basin in the middle of the day. So wide temperature ranges in Idaho. So be ready for that with your dressing and your preparation. Make friends, as we talked about. You'll be amazed at how separated out everyone gets. So make some friends to help, kind of the emotional burden and the drafting burden or headwind burden, to alleviate some of that, but also really enjoy the solitude. It's a very special course. And I'm not just saying this because my name's on it. Everyone who comes here is like, I had no idea. It's really what riding gravel is all about. So in those dark moments, take a minute and lift your head and just, really celebrate where your legs and your lungs have taken you. Reminder, the timing finishes before town. Don't race into my hometown. People don't like that. So once you hit that Red Bull arch, take a minute, you're done. You can celebrate and ride in together to the festival as a neutral group. And then I put here, I've got a sort of a code word. It's from really from a first grader named Anna, who taught me about what being a shark means. And we adapted it for us to be a gravel shark. And really that's the only rules that we need. So if you are ever unsure out on course what to do, gravel shark stands for safety. So being safe. H is for honesty. A is for accountability, R is for responsible, and K is for kind. So if you do all those things, safe, honest, accountable, responsible, kind, you can't go wrong. You're doing it right if you're being a gravel shark. And then a reminder of why I launched this event and why you're here. It's to bring amazing people together, to ride with purpose, and to really appreciate and celebrate a beautiful place like Idaho. So people, purpose, place, that's why we're here. maybe some of these things will pop into your head when you're way out in the Copper Basin and you need a little bit of motivation. But just remembering, yeah, it's a race, it's intense, it's nerve-wracking and all that good stuff, but it's also fun. And we're here ultimately to gravel for good. And we're here to be the best version of yourself, but also as a community, as a cycling community. So those are my tips. Tim, what do you have to close out this course review for the team?
Well, excellent tips. Hopefully everybody's gotten a tremendous amount of information here. My only tip is utilize it, meaning not just this video, but the entire preparing class here, Mastering RPI. There's great information about the environment, the terrain, the challenges that you're going to have, your bike, your tires. Really make sure this is such a great event. You really want to enjoy it. It can be so much fun. Just come prepared. This course hopefully will help you get prepared, learn the different elements, prepare. You're going to get so many more tips. If this is your first time and you're watching this course, you're going to be so much more prepared than the average first timer who doesn't, but you have to implement what you learn. So that's my closing tip. Great learning in this course, implement it, bring it to Ketchum, bring it into the race, have a more enjoyable day.
I love that, Tim, because you're exactly right. So first of all, congratulations, because you signed up for Mastering RPI. So you're way ahead of the game by doing some preparation. And that just means, as we said at the beginning, the more prepared you are, the more confident you are, the better you're going to ride. You're going to be more excited about these sections. And so the last thing we'll say is there are videos of all of these sections for you to dive in. So that's your next step. You got the course preview in your brain. Go watch the videos and start to really cement that. So you recognize the sections of the course, you know what Copper Basin looks like, you know what El Diablito looks like, you know what Wild Horse looks like. So go watch those videos. I think they'll really help. You can laugh at me because I'm doing course commentary the whole time. But there's nothing like seeing a course and seeing tires on it and seeing the way the gravel looks. So go watch those videos. I hope you enjoy them. And most of all, thank you for tuning in and doing the course preview. Like Tim said, this is really going to set you up for success. And we can't wait to see you out there in Idaho. So thanks, everyone.
Good luck, everybody. Enjoy the event. We'll see you out there.